This morning, stock trading for First Republic Bank was halted as its stock crashed somewhere around 32%. The rumor circulating last night was that the government was poised to seize the major bank. This is big news, ladies and gentlemen, because I wonder about central bank digital currencies and what this means for you and how might they implement a central bank digital currency. Oh boy, they probably don't like it when I talk about this and they'll scream conspiracy. But it is true. We have this report from Fox News. The Biden administration is quietly planning for a future where you don't own money. I mean, that sounds communist. I mean, how do you not own money? There's got to be some kind of trade medium, right? But the idea, I suppose, is that you will own nothing and you will be happy. You'll be trading on a platform where your currency is tracked by the federal government forever, and they can shut off certain transactions. But let's talk about the news, how this banking crisis could affect you. A bunch of major banks dumped liquidity into First Republic to try and save it because, well, it looks like there was a run on the bank and they wouldn't be able to actually cover their loans. Apparently, they issued more loans than they had deposits or something to that effect. I'm not a big financial person. Suffice it to say, if this bank goes down, it will start pulling down many others with it because of the loans that it issues and because of the wealth management services they provide to wealthy individuals. And that does seem to be their principal function. But let me slow down. I want to show you what's going on. This shit's ridiculous. I have to scroll down to show you how much it's collapsing. Let me slow down and say this. Central bank digital currency is very bad. How can they implement a new currency in the United States? Why? By getting you to cheer for it. Don't be surprised if this is exactly what we see moving forward with multiple banks collapsing. We had Silvergate, we had Silicon Valley Bank, we have First Republic. This one isn't the first, it won't be the last, but here's what I think could happen. When this bank collapses, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, the federal government will intervene and say, we have insured your deposits, your money is available, you need only download the central bank digital currency app. They'll call it something like US PayGo or something like that. Download the app and enter your social security number and your private information. And all of your currency and all of your money is instantly converted into FedCoin. Now, why is that bad? FedCoin will track everything you do everywhere you go. It will be able to predict your behaviors. Ladies and gentlemen, you will have pre-crime. I've talked about this as it pertains to AI, right? That Facebook knows when you poop. It may sound silly. It may be funny that Facebook as a corporation actually knows when you will go take a dump. But it's real. And it lends itself to a larger point. There are patterns humans can't see, the AI can. Which means if they are tracking your movement, if they are tracking your spending patterns, they know what you will buy, when you will buy it, they know where you will be, they can predict behavior, and you will have pre-crime. That means, like in the movie Minority Report, you may find yourself with agents at your door saying, don't do it. Because we know what you're going to do. We know where you're going to go. We know who you're going to buy from. Or they just wait till you do, and then they arrest you and charge you. And the reason why this is bad, well, there has to be some flexibility in law, some. Obviously, there are some things we want no flexibility on. Some things are just, we don't allow murder, for instance. But Moxie Marlinspike, the hacker and cryptographer, made a very important point to me way back in the day. He said, how would we know we wanted to legalize marijuana if no one had ever tried it? The fact that many states have legalized marijuana and that it may become legal at the federal level very, very soon shows that, well, people are okay with it. But the only way they were able to find out if they were okay with it was by actually trying it illegally. And that presents a really serious problem as we are moving into the future. You can't advocate for illegal activity on social media platforms, so I certainly would not do that. But Moxie makes a good point. Many states are legalizing it. Who's voting for it unless there is a demand for it? But how could there be a demand if no one's ever tried it? That's right. People are breaking the law. Under central bank digital currencies, you will never do anything like that again. They will control everything you do, and there is nothing you can do about it. So the best thing we can say is don't allow it to happen. We have this from disclose.tv. First Republic Bank share prices plunge over 50% as it lost more than $100 billion in customer deposits. Trading of First Republic stock halted after plunging another 32% today. Oh boy. And this is the story from April 25th, just the other day. First Republic Bank expected to be seized by U.S. government from Watcher Guru. They say it's expected to be seized according to Fox Business Network. Bankers working with First Republic say they expect eventual government receivership for the ailing bank. This will come after it exhausts private sector solutions, such as asset sales and finding a buyer, both of which appear difficult. First Republic lost more than 40% of its deposits, approximately $72 billion in the first quarter of this year. Its shares sank nearly 50% as of the end of Tuesday. This is according to a Monday announcement by the bank. The bank has seen record drops over the past month and a half, particularly since the Silicon Valley Bank was closed in March. Multiple big banks have also struggled. However, it looks like First Republic will be falling into the hands of the U.S. government soon. Maybe not, because we now have this story from this morning. First Republic shares hit record low after report says government unwilling to intervene. Good. Let them fail. I'm sick of it, man. I am 37 and I've seen in my life much too much government intervention. Let them fall. Let businesses fail. What's that? There will be a strong negative consequence for the American people and the global economy. I don't care at all. I'm reminded of when Bill Maher said if a recession would stop Trump, bring on a recession. And that's cold and that's callous. My attitude is this. The constant pumping of money into failing banks is what's making the crisis. Stop. And you know what? Yeah, it may be bad, but you can't just keep someone on a drug that's killing them because you're like, oh, withdrawal symptoms could be bad. No, you fight through it. You seek medical attention. We put an end to the addiction. Reuters reports First Republic Bank's shares hit a record low on Wednesday after a report said the U.S. government was unwilling to intervene in the rescue process, adding to concerns about the troubled lender's plan to turn around its business. The company's shares were last down 25% at $6.05 after losing nearly half of their value on Tuesday. U.S. government officials were currently unwilling to intervene in the First Republic rescue process, CNBC reported, citing sources, which counters what Fox Business was saying, basically. The bank has been looking at several options, such as selling assets or the creation of a bad bank. A source familiar with the matter told Reuters on Tuesday. First Republic's advisors have already lined up potential purchasers of new stock in the lender if they can fix the bank's balance sheet, a report earlier on Wednesday said. However, analysts have highlighted several roadblocks which could complicate rescue efforts for the San Francisco-based lender as it looks to emerge out of the crisis sparked by an outflow of more than $100 billion in deposits in the first quarter. The First Republic assets will be sold, but it may take some time and could be sold at a pretty severe discount to par, David Wagner, portfolio manager at Aptus Capital, said. At least 3 brokerages have cut their price targets on First Republic shares since it first reported first quarter earnings on Monday. I really just don't care about the financial jargon. Not interested. Don't know, don't care. We got A. Pompliano saying this is not some obscure cryptocurrency. This is the stock price of one of America's largest banks. Look at that. Holy crap. You ready for this one? In the past 6 months, First Republic has lost 95% of its stock value. Oh boy. What does it all mean? You know, honestly, I don't know for sure. I can only tell you where I think we may be going and what a banking crisis could mean for all of us. Take a look at this story from Fox News. Biden administration is quietly planning for a future where you don't own money. In Biden's future, you will not own CBDC money and you'll have no privacy either. I guess we can say you will own nothing and you will be happy. Fox reports. Under the leadership of President Joe Biden, the White House and the Federal Reserve have started to lay the groundwork for a programmable, trackable, easily manipulated digital currency. It might sound like something from a dystopian science fiction novel, but it's all too real, and it could soon change life in America forever. In March 2022, the Biden administration released a sweeping executive order that directed numerous federal agencies to crack down on digital assets, including on popular cryptocurrencies, as well as to study the potential development of a central bank digital currency. A CBDC would not be a digital version of the existing paper-based dollar, but rather an entirely new currency that would exist exclusively in a digital, meaning electronic and non-physical form. In September of 2022, the White House announced the completion of the CBDC reports. Although the administration did not officially propose a CBDC following the release of the reports, it did announce that it had developed policy objectives for a U.S. CBDC system. Biden also directed the leadership of the National Economic Council, National Security Council, Office of Science and Technology Policy, and the Treasury Department to meet regularly with the Federal Reserve to further design a potential CBDC. Since the flurry of action in September, the administration has worked tirelessly and quietly to advance the creation of a central bank digital currency through various working groups, speeches, and coordinated efforts with non-government groups. Under the various central bank digital currency proposals floated by the Biden administration and Federal Reserve, a U.S. central bank coin would be programmable, traceable, and designed to promote various left-wing social goals, such as improving financial inclusion and equity. It would also be designed to help with transitioning to a net zero emissions economy and improving environmental justice. Well, how could it do that? By blocking certain transactions. That is, you will try to order something online and it'll say, I'm sorry, you can't make that purchase. You're not allowed. You know, they could do something like that now, but it's not so easy. They would need to put a hold on your account specifically targeting certain things. It's very difficult to do. This is the programming layer they could add to your currency so that when you try to buy gas, it says, I'm sorry, I can't let you do that. And that'll help them shape and change the world, the economy, our energy system. They go on to say, unlike with decentralized cryptocurrency such as Bitcoin, every transaction made using a CBDC could be easily traced to individual users by financial institutions, government agents, and or the Federal Reserve. They would simply type in a few lines of code, press enter, and it will highlight every single transaction you've ever made. They will know who you've associated with. They will know where you've been, what you're buying, what you're doing, and they can predict your behavior. They say, additionally, because the CBDC would be digital and programmable, rules could be imposed that limit spending on approved activities. So if the federal government or Federal Reserve were to determine that Americans are buying too much gasoline, for example, it could stop people from using central bank currency at gas stations and with a few clicks on a computer. Perhaps most disturbing of all, however, is that under most of the CBDC designs, I'm going to pause real quick and say, holy crap, for the love of all that is holy, dude, stop just spamming the phrase CBDC over and over and over again. Pronouns exist for a reason. Perhaps most disturbing of all, however, is that under most of the designs, you see how easy that was? Discussed by the Biden administration and the Federal Reserve, nearly all forms of ownership of the money would be strictly limited. Only large institutions such as banks, the federal government, and or the Federal Reserve would actually have ownership of it. Everyone else would be prevented from having absolute control of their digital money. This dude just wants to type. He's like trying to figure out if he can put the acronym in as many times as possible. And I'm sure that after he did, he was like, look, I put it in 57 times. Okay. That means in Biden's future, you will not own money. You will have no privacy either. How exactly would the Biden administration prevent most forms of private ownership of digital money? To best understand the answer to that question, you first need to know important details about the existing banking system. Currently, when you go to the bank and deposit money into a checking or savings account, you immediately cease to own the money. The cash becomes the property of the bank. In most situations, the bank is required to return the money you provided to it at your request. But the cash ultimately belongs to the bank until you remove the money from your deposit account. Under the current system, there is a way to regain control of your money by withdrawing cash from a deposit account. And privacy laws prevent banks in many situations from giving away details about your financial accounts to third parties, including the government. But because a digital currency would only exist in digital form in a deposit account, and because they would be programmed to feed data to government, there would be no way for you to physically take CBDCs out of depository accounts, store them privately, own them directly, or use them without being surveilled by a large institution. The Biden administration has directly acknowledged that a future where you don't own CBDCs is exactly what it and the Federal Reserve are now considering. For example, in a 2022 report about CBDCs, the Treasury Department stated, there are two general architectures for intermediation. Holy crap, dude, stop spamming the acronym. It's so frustrating. Look at this. He says in one sentence, he writes it four times. Bro, it's really difficult for me to keep saying CBDC, CBDC, over and over again. There are two. Let's try this. For example, in a 2022 report, the Treasury Department stated there are two general architectures for intermediation, a single tier with the central bank, and a two-tier system where intermediaries, potentially banks or non-bank financial intermediaries, would onboard and manage payments while the central bank records account balances. I didn't even need to say that acronym one time in that paragraph, brother. Man, get an editor. In other words, there's no scenario in which you would be able to store your digital money in a local hard drive or private storage account. All of your money would be kept by a bank or by the Federal Reserve directly, which means they would own all of your money. Oh, he did it again. He said all of your CBDC money. Stop. I can't do it. I'm sorry, guys. Holy crap, dude. What is this? Justin Haskins, bro. Does Fox News not have a copy editor to be like, hey, you're kind of saying that a lot? I'm going to just omit that acronym from now on because I think you know what we're talking about. Regardless of where your money is held, it's likely the federal government would have access to data about your purchases and all other information. A design choice, supporters say, is necessary so that officials can limit criminal activity. The only significant privacy questions that remain in the minds of those who support this are about the extent of the data collection. For example, Biden's Undersecretary for Domestic Finance, Nellie Lang, explained in a March 2022 speech that one way, look at this, he just keeps spamming it, that one way of reconciling privacy with illicit finance concerns is in retail might be to have a tiered structure in which less data are collected for small dollar transactions or small volume accounts. Note that Lang says less data might be collected for small dollar accounts. She doesn't say no data would be collected. If a programmable currency is rolled out in the near future, you won't own money and you'll have very little privacy, if any at all. That's great news for those who advocate for bigger government and want more power for large financial institutions, but it could prove to be a catastrophic loss of freedom for the rest of us. Yeah. And I think this is fairly obvious. You will want to buy gasoline or diesel. Sorry. You will not be able to make that transaction because the government will be tracking everything you do. More importantly, I don't think it's even about that. I think the issue is that you won't want to buy these things. And as an aside, I'd like to point out that this dude on Fox News included the phrase CBDC 31 times in this one article because they don't know what pronouns are. Or the fact that you don't even need to say it over and over again. Sorry, it's a pet peeve of mine when people do things like this. But anyway, here's my point. You won't be able to buy the things you don't want to buy. I'm sorry, you won't want to buy the things you might need. Better way to phrase it. Sorry, that last one was confusing. My point is this. If they can predict your behavior, they will just control all economic activity, period. I've talked about the AI future before and what I expect to happen. And what will happen is this. You will get a notification on your app. It'll be called gig app, simple gig economy jobs just for you. People do Uber Eats, they do DoorDash. You'll open up the app and it'll be like, we've got a task for you. Deliver this widget to this location. And you'll be like, okay. You'll go and pick up the widget. You'll go and drop it off. You'll instantly get cash in your account and you'll be like, that was awesome. You won't know what the widget is. You won't know what it does. You won't know why they needed it. And neither will the person who received it from you. People's jobs will be mindless and meaningless. They'll have no idea what they're doing. But the AI will. The centralized banks will. The government will. And you will be party to the construction of things you will never understand. They are turning you into a cog in the machine, quite literally, with no need to know what they're building. And they can build anything. Weapons of mass destruction, space travel, they will have absolute control over the economy. And so you know what? Part of me says there could be good, but there will likely be bad. The good is that they might say, stop eating garbage food, stop killing yourself, and we're going to build a spaceship. And we're going to go to Mars, and we're going to control the economy in such a way that people are happy, they're contributing, they feel fulfilled, and we build good things. I'd love to believe that was possible. But the reality is it's going to be a rich person who says it's going to be a wealthy elite, a corrupt individual making things for themselves. And they're going to say, I deserve it. That's what you will be handing over. And then where do we go after this? Who will inherit that power? The only outcome I see, complete and total degradation of human civilization. I'm not a fan. The AI is trying to take control, or they're trying to give control to the AI. I don't think we should let them. I think we have to reject that. Elon Musk's vision is that we integrate with the AI, but that sounds pretty creepy too. AI should just exist within the confines of humanity and through what humans decide it should or should not do. But it seems they want something else. And I think they don't care that it will lead to our destruction. I'll leave it there. Next segment is coming up at 4 p.m. on the channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I will see you all then.